Hello everybody! Today we wanna talk about interesting topics about aviation. That topics are so interesting to keep in mind or learn something new. For example, what are the primary control surfaces? The second one, it could be what are the secondary control surfaces? Another one, it could be how does an aircraft fly? Or another interesting topic that is so interesting, it's what are the forces that affect every kind of aircraft. Okay, if you like to learn that topic with me, we're gonna start. The primary control surfaces are the elevators, the ailerons, and the rudder. Okay, the first one that I would like to explain is the elevators. The elevator helps to elevate the aircraft and is located in the tail of the aircraft and are used to direct the nose of the aircraft upwards or downwards, and for that reason the elevator change the pitch movement. Yes? The pitch movement is that. Okay? The next one control surfaces are the ailerons. The ailerons are located in the rear of the wing, okay? And so when one arises, the other one get downrise or get lower and are used to increase the lift on the wing, yes? And for that reason provides the roll movement. The roll movement is that. Okay, and the last control surface is the rudder. Okay, the rudder. The rudder is located in the tail of the aircraft, and that control surface provides the yaw moment. The yaw moment is that. Okay, and the rudder helps to correct the direction of the turn of the aircraft. For example, the aircraft goes there. The rudder can move the aircraft to make in a red line, for example, to move to a point from one point to another point. The secondary control surfaces are: the first one are the flaps that are located in the trailing edge of a wing, and the flaps only extend on the windwards and is used during the takeoff and the landing. Okay, are so important because of that extend in the downwards and used to increase the lift, and it's very useful when you need to go the operation landing or the operation takeoff. Okay, the next one is the slats. Slats are located at the landing edge of a wing. Okay, and slats only extend downwards. Okay, it's like this movement. Okay, and increase the lift and are extend during the takeoff and landing. It's very useful to do that because of that it has a similar things and similar functions than the flaps. The slats and flaps has similarities. Okay, the last one are spoilers. Spoilers are located at the upper surface of wing, okay, and are used to reduce the speed and lift. It's important to do that because when you develop upwards, you can decrease the aircraft's altitude. For example, that the aircraft needs to get more low than the high altitude that had, the airplane needs to have spoilers. Because of that, when you use the spoilers, the aircraft needs to get down and get the altitude that you need, and it's interesting to do that. The spoilers, it's important to take the secondary control surfaces, but are not mandatory. But the first one control surfaces, the principal control surfaces, are mandatory because move the airplane in all of the movement that happens. Okay, I'm gonna explain about you the aircraft axis and axis of rotation and motions and movements, okay? Do you look that aircraft, and that aircraft has an interesting circles to illustrate what is the movement that the aircraft do. For example, the first one is the movement that made the elevators. The elevators provides the pitch movement. What is the pitch movement? Is that movement. For example, when the airplane nose goes upwards or downwards, that is the movement. The next one, and that movement have in the lateral axis, yeah? That is the lateral axis, that is the vertical axis, and that is the longitudinal axis, okay? The ailerons, the ailerons provides the roll movement in the longitudinal axis, for example. That is the roll movement, yes? And the last one is yaw movement that provides by the rudder, okay? This is the rudder that is located in the tail. The rudder provides the yaw movement, and the yaw movement is in the vertical axis, yes? And the yaw movement is this, okay? I'm gonna explain about the forces in flight, how they are produced, and the control surfaces involve them. Okay, what are the four forces? This is my aircraft, and this is the arrow that I would like to use to illustrate what are the forces that I would like to explain you. For example, the first one is the movement or the force that is produced when the airplane goes in that direction. That force is called thrust. The opposite force is called drag. Okay, that force is called lift, and the opposite is called weight. Okay, and what is thrust? Thrust is produced by the propulsion system or the engine of the aircraft, okay, and works by the action and reaction law was proposed by Isaac Newton, okay. The next one is lift. Lift is the air across to airplane, and that air can elevate this airplane, okay, and for that reason that lift is interesting. That is the force that is behind to the aircraft, okay. The next one is drag, okay, and what is drag? Drag is the opposite of thrust and is produced in the aircraft when the aircraft tries to pass throughout to the liquid or gas, like in this case oxygen, okay. In easy words, drag is air resistance. And the last one is weight. And what is weight? Weight is the force that is always directed toward to the center of the earth of gravity, and is for that reason that the object falls. I would like to answer an interesting question, that is, how does an aircraft flight? An aircraft flight, previously I said about, has four forces that are thrust, lift, drag, and weight. Yes? And why that the forces are so important? Because of that, when the aircraft gets cruising speed, and the cruising speed is the speed when the aircraft gets in the air and have a very good speed, the forces that are thrust, drag, lift, and weight get zero. Because of that, thrust get cancelled with drag, and lift get cancelled with drag, with weight, excuse me. And for that reason, the airplane gets in the air and has the equilibrium. and for that reason that model works. It works by the Bernoulli's principle. Because of that, the weight gets zero by the Bernoulli's principle by the air, because the air was cancelled by the lift force that is created by the air, yes, principally in the wings. Another interesting thing is what is an airfoil. Airfoil is that an airfoil is present in the fuselage and the wings in every kind of aircraft, and that it's very important because creates a low pressure in the up part, in the upward, and gets a high pressure in the downward. And for that reason, the airplanes can get in the air without falling. And what are the parts of that airfoil? The parts are the landing edge, that is this point, the landing edge, that is that point, the chart line, that is a imaginary line that is between that point and that point. It's an imaginary line, the chart line. The lift is the force that make that foil, that airfoil. And the angle of attack. The angle of attack is very interesting because when the airplane goes in the air, needs to get a landing attack or angle of attack. Because of that, when the nose of the airplane gets very up, the angle of attack get up, and when the nose of the airplane gets down, the angle of attack of the airplane gets down. For this reason, the angle of attack was controlled by the elevators in the nose of the airplane, and for that reason it's useful to create an airfoils, because the airfoils provides a lot of lift in every kind of aircraft, because creates a low pressure in the up part and low pressure in the back part.